On a lonely stretch of Route 66 under the blazing Arizona sun, a broken truck sat by the roadside, and an old man sat beside it, waving weakly at every passing car. Hundreds of drivers saw him that day. Some slowed down, most didn't. Some pointed. Some laughed. No one stopped, until a sound echoed through the desert, not a siren, not a car, but the roar of 4 Harley engines cutting through the silence like thunder after a storm. That day, the world witnessed what kindness looks like, when it wears leather jackets and rides on 2 wheels, because when no one else helped, the bikers did. The sun was merciless, the kind that feels like it's pressing against your skin. Earl Thompson, a 68-year-old retired mechanic from Flagstaff, was heading home after visiting his wife Mary's grave. He drove the same Ford F-150 he'd owned for 30 years, old, dented, but full of memories. He had a thermos of coffee beside him and a photo of Mary taped to the dashboard. The road was empty, just miles and miles of dry land, dust, and faded billboards. Then came a sputter, a cough, and silence. Earl hit the steering wheel gently. "Come on, girl, don't do this now." He turned the key again, nothing but a tired whine. The old truck had finally given up. Earl stepped out, feeling the ground burn through his shoes. He lifted the hood, checked the cables, but it was no use. The desert had swallowed every sound except the hum of distant engines that passed him by. A white SUV slowed down for a second. The woman inside glanced, then looked away. A red Mustang zoomed past, music blaring. One truck driver honked and waved, laughing as he passed. Earl sighed. "Guess no one's got time for an old man anymore." He sat on a rock by the road, watching the horizon shimmer with heat. The world around him felt endless and empty. 2 hours passed. The sun dipped lower, turning gold against the dry hills. Earl tried calling for help, but his phone had no signal. He leaned back against the side of his truck, exhaustion setting in. He closed his eyes for a moment, whispering softly, "Mary, I sure could use a little miracle right now." The wind answered him with silence. He remembered how she used to tell him, "Earl, never stop believing in people. The good ones always show up, just a little late." He smiled faintly at the thought. But as the minutes turned to hours, hope began to fade. Just then, a faint sound appeared far off in the distance. Low, steady, rhythmic. Not a car, but motorcycles, 4 of them. Earl stood up, squinting into the distance. Mist rose behind 4 dark silhouettes cutting through the desert road. As they drew near, he could see the shine of chrome and leather, the glint of sunlight off black helmets. The engines rumbled deep, steady and powerful. He felt a twinge of fear. He'd seen movies, read stories, bikers, outlaws, trouble. But something inside him said, "Wait." The 4 bikes slowed down, circling gently to a stop beside his truck. The leader, a tall man with gray in his beard and calm in his eyes, shut off his engine first. He took off his sunglasses, looked straight at Earl, and said in a low, steady voice, "Sir, you look like you've had a rough day." Earl chuckled nervously. "You could say that." The man smiled, extended his hand. "Name's Cole Jackson. Friends call me Bear." One by one, the others introduced themselves. Mike Diesel, Sam Bones, and Jake Ryder. They weren't outlaws. They were veterans, members of a group called the Iron Hearts, bikers who rode across states doing good deeds in memory of their fallen brothers. Cole walked around the truck, eyes scanning every inch. "What happened?" Earl sighed. "Just died on me. Think she's had enough miles." Cole nodded once, serious now. "We'll take a look." Without another word, the 4 men got to work. Earl watched as the bikers lifted the hood, tools clicking, grease-stained hands moving like a dance. Diesel cracked a joke. "Man, this engine's seen more wars than we have." Bones laughed. "Let's see if she's still got some fight left." Cole wiped sweat from his forehead and turned to Earl. "Mind if we try something old school?" "Be my guest," Earl said, still in disbelief. Cole tightened a few cables, cleaned the plugs, and tapped the carburetor twice. Diesel poured in a little gas from his backup canister. "All right, sir. Try it now." Earl turned the key. The truck sputtered, coughed, and then roared to life. The sound filled the air like music. Earl's eyes glistened. "I can't believe it, you boys." "You actually did it," Cole smiled. "Old machines just need a little respect." "Same as old men." They all laughed. Earl opened his thermos, poured out what was left of his coffee, and offered it to them. "Not much, but it's all I got." Diesel took a sip and said, "Best damn coffee we've had all day." As the sun sank into the horizon, they sat around the truck, talking like old friends. Earl told them about his wife, how she used to bake pies for every neighbor on the block, how she died 3 years ago, but he still drove out every month to bring flowers to her grave. Cole listened quietly, his expression soft. "You know, my wife's the reason I started this crew," he said. "She told me once that kindness doesn't need an audience. It just needs action." Earl nodded. "That's how Mary was too. Always believed the world still had good people." Cole looked at him and smiled. "Well, looks like she was right." They shared stories of service, loss, and laughter. Jake talked about his son joining the Navy. Bones told a joke about getting lost in Texas for 3 hours because his GPS thought it was a rodeo. For a moment, the desert wasn't empty anymore. It was alive, filled with warmth, laughter, and the sound of men who still believed in something good. Before they left, a passing tourist stopped her car. She'd seen the scene, 4 bikers helping an old man in the desert, and took a photo. She posted it later that night on Facebook with the caption, "When no one else helped." The bikers did. By morning, it had over 1 million shares. People commented, "Faith in humanity restored. Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear leather. This is the America I believe in." News outlets started calling, wanting interviews. But when reporters found the Ironhearts, Cole refused. He just said, "We don't do it for fame. We do it because it's right." Before parting ways, Cole placed a hand on Earl's shoulder. "You ever need help again, old man, just call us. We ride through this highway every few weeks." Earl smiled, voice trembling. "You fellas are angels with engines," Cole laughed softly. "Nah, just people who remember what humanity means." The bikers started their engines one by one, the deep rumble filling the air like a heartbeat. Earl stood beside his truck, waving as they rode away, 4 silhouettes fading into the crimson sunset. He looked at Mary's photo on the dashboard and whispered, "You were right again, sweetheart. The good ones still exist. Sometimes kindness comes from where you least expect it, not from uniforms or headlines, but from people with oil on their hands and honesty in their hearts." Those bikers didn't ask who he was or what he had. They only saw someone in need, and that was enough, because humanity isn't lost. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to stop. When everyone else keeps driving, real kindness doesn't make noise. It simply acts and lets the echo speak for itself.